Het-Heru, namaste. This is Het-Heru here with another broadcast for you. And today I'm going to title this broadcast, Reincarnation is the Key to Success. And when I was getting ready for this broadcast, I was walking by my kitchen and I smelled something delectable. And I was like, oh, this is nice. Who's cooking? And I realized it was me. You know, I'm a pretty good cook. Of course, I cook all vegan stuff. And I'm always trying to get friends and family to stop eating meat, and they never listen to me, and they're trying to get me to eat meat. It's a never-ending battle, you know. So I'm always bringing them new vegan food to try, and they don't try it, even though it smells really good. I think the texture gets to them. They get like turned off by the texture. They're like, no, I can't try it. I can't try it. Even though I promised them it's going to taste really good, and that the cows are going to love them for it, and the pigs are going to love them for it. And they were like, well, you don't eat fish? I'm like, no, I hate fish. It stinks, you know. So I think it's a conditioning. And the reason why I bring that up is because I was seeing this, you know, some people pretty much give away who and what they are. I was seeing this YouTuber, it's kind of a prominent YouTuber. I guess he calls himself a spiritual guru or whatever. And he's a nice guy, but he keeps talking about how he stays positive. And, you know, and I'm like, well, that's a great thing to do. Let me know how that works out for you. And, you know, the thing is, I don't try to stay positive because I know that doesn't work. You know, you're dealing with a left brain, and the left brain is not the seat of power. You know, it's the waking conscious state, all right? It only obeys what the right brain tells it to do. So you can recite all the affirmations you want and tell yourself, I'm going to be positive. It's going to do you no good. You know, it may last for a short term, you know, but eventually you're going to go back to your default programming, whatever it is that you program the right brain with, you know, the subconscious mind. This is why I think like people like Anthony Robbins, you know, these guys are full of it, you know, and they're taking people's money, because when you have an understanding of the makeup of the human being, or the makeup of consciousness, then you start to understand the motivating factors that get us to move in certain directions. And what that is that I don't say to myself, hey, you know what, I need to stay positive. What I do is I tune into my subconscious mind, and I start to reprogram myself to have a different perspective on something. Does that make sense? Or you want to say, oh, I self-hypnotize myself to change my belief system about this particular thing. Because everything that you're involved with, that you have a particular view on, is nothing more than a self-hypnosis state, or a self-programming state, or a social programming state. And we have to accept that fact and accept responsibility for it. So I can talk about, you know, saying things like, you know, oh, things are going really bad in my life, but I have to stay positive. And that's a good thing to say. Don't get me wrong. But ultimately, you're going to have to deal with what's in the subconscious mind, your belief system, because that's what's really tainting and painting your perspective on that situation. Because you keep saying that it's going to be overwritten by your programming, you know? So it's a difference between, like, I guess, software and hardware, you know? So think about that. And the reason why I said this gives away what this guy really is about, because if he's really a spiritualist, schooled or trained in a traditional ancient culture, you'll know that our ancient ancestors never, ever got into this whole positive thinking, affirmation thing. That is something that comes out of Europe, you know, and the positive mindset, you know. What we did was we did meditations, we did translate state, we took herbs like ayahuasca, DMT. We did those things because we understood the spirit. We understood the motivating factors, the controlling factors of our thought process. So think about that, you know. Now let me get into today's topic, which is reincarnation is the key to your success, which it is. It is the key. You know, I talk a lot about the difference between the left and the right brain. I talk about that we live in a left brain culture, which is polarizing left brain thinking, and they want you to stay that way, because when you're polarizing left brain thinking, you are in concrete thinking, meaning you only deal with things that you can see, hear, feel, and taste, and things of that nature. You're not going to be looking at things on a metaphysical level, things on a paranormal level, things on a supernatural level. You're not going to be looking at things, and the left brain cannot fathom that. It can't postulate on that, because it has trouble with this abstract thinking, Not that it can't, but it has some trouble, difficulty when it comes to that, because it deals mainly with facts and figures, and also with pre-established paradigms. If there's nothing that's a precedent for it that's pre-established, then it has difficulty with that, because it always needs to fall back on reference experience. So you don't get what we call is circular knowledge. That means that you're not looking at the whole. You're only looking at bits and pieces, because left brain is segregated. It only looks at the pieces. It doesn't connect the pieces or see how the pieces connect to the whole. It only examines the pieces and labels and defines the pieces. So what consequently you have is you have your smart academics and scholars who will tell you that this life is the only life that there is, that there's no afterlife, there's no reincarnation. And of course they're going to say that, because that's how the left brain sees things. But a person coming from the right brain, a right brain culture, your ancient cultures will say that there's a circle of life. Get that, the Lion King, the circle of life. So that means that when you die, you're going to be reborn. Now the trick that's happened is that now science, your major scientists have now, who are exploring more than just left brain thinking, have started to realize that energy is neither created nor destroyed. It just mutates, it changes form. So that's the key giveaway to what our ancient ancestors told us, that you reincarnate. The physical body, which we call the Geb, dies, but the energy within you, that spirit, goes on. Okay? And this is where in the ancient Egyptian texts we get the judgment scene. And this is when you go before the judge, which is Osiris. And you have Ma'at, you have the scales of Ma'at, where they weigh the feather on one end and your heart on the other. And then you face God Tahuti, or thought. And then you have Sebek, who measures the scales, makes sure, because Sebek is good in details and facts. And so he's making sure the scales are weighed correctly. And Tahuti is the scribe, and also deals with wisdom, and he's writing down, and he's also going over everything. And then the scales of Ba'at, the weigh your heart, and your heart must weigh lighter than the feather. So that's a metaphor for saying that, did you go through life lighthearted? Did you take anything to heart? And to be an Osirian, to be like Osir, God on earth, to be God man, God woman, you have to go through life not heavy-hearted, not weighed down by your emotions, not being trapped by your emotions. So now, how does this relate to reincarnation? Well, it is during that period when you are judged by Osir and Tahuti that you make your pre-life agreement with Tahuti, because Tahuti will go over everything and say, we're going to send you back to Earth, and you agree that you're going to go to this family, you're going to have these type of issues or obstructions, you're going to marry so-and-so, you're going to have this type of job, you're going to die in this way. Do you agree to this? And your higher consciousness, or your higher self, which would be present there, would say, yes, I agree to this. And then it would send you there, and you would be reborn and reincarnated to a different mother and a different father. And though you would not consciously be aware of that pre-life agreement you made, you would then go through all the things you agreed to, which we in turn would call karma. Okay? So that's how the reincarnation cycle works. But here's the important thing to remember. All right, now, we experience things going through life, and sometimes we don't even realize that the things that we experience are the same things over and over again, because they come in different forms. And these things are shaded differently, but they're really, the source of the problem is really the same thing. We could be getting into issues because of our greed, but we don't recognize it as greed. or we could be getting the same issues with women or men because of jealousy, but we don't recognize it as jealousy. That is part of the challenge that you must face and overcome in this lifetime. That's what your agreement was. And that's what we call is the theme or your destiny. Because Source, Nectar, has to explore a theme in every lifetime because it needs to understand its infinite potential, and it creates this holographic experience to experience reality or fourth dimensional reality, right? And experiences that through you, the physical being. Now, what you're supposed to be doing is to experience these things over many lifetimes to get to a point where you become Osir. And then when you get to that point where you become Osir, God man, God woman, then there's no reason for you to incarnate again. You don't have to come back to Earth again. And you can choose to come back to Earth if you want. And at that point, you'll be helping others to ascend. Do you understand what I mean? So the incarnation is for you to experience, learn, and grow and ascend to sage status so that you can help others here in fourth dimensional plane or in the inner planes, the etheric realm, help souls there too. It's your choice, all right? Now, there are different ways to reincarnate, okay? Now, when you're reincarnating, you could be reincarnating from a past life, or you could be an alien soul that reincarnates from a different world. And you're coming from some planet called Xenu, let's say Xenu, who you were an alien on Xenu who reincarnates here on Earth. And the reason that can happen is because you may have solved an issue on Xenu that now the Earth is facing, and the Earth could use your help to solve that very same problem. So there's an agreement between the Earth and Xenu to have you come here, reincarnate, to help the Earth through that particular issue. Now, when you reincarnate, it's going to be double trouble for you because it's going to be this world is going to be really alien to you. You're going to have trouble acclimating, so you're going to have to go through many lifetimes of acclimation. But you're going to help people in the process to get rid of these issues. And this is where we get the idea of star seeds, star children, and things of that nature. You follow me? But now, the ruling elite, the Illuminati, want to keep the masses of people because they know that reincarnation is true. It is real. So they want to keep the masses of people forever reincarnating because they want to trap them in third dimensional experience. In other words, keep them trapped in the material 3D world because they don't want souls to ascend. Because if you ascend, then you help others to ascend. And then what happens then is those who are ascended realize the truth of what's going on and start to help others. And therefore, they will ruin the ruling elite's plan for domination. So what they intend to do, the ruling elite, the cabal, is to trap people in third dimensional thinking. And the way to do that is to polarize themselves and polarize the world in left brain thinking. And if you're polarized in left brain thinking, material thinking, thinking that the only thing that's here is what you could see, which is the material world, you continually be reincarnated until the lessons and the trials and tribulations you go through push you to become more spiritual and transcend, or you meet a sage who will guide you through the transcendence thing. But again, Illuminati wants to keep you from meeting that sage and keep you from transcending. So eventually you will have to meet with a lot of hardship in order to speed up that ascension process. But once you start on the ascension process, it's beautiful. You know, the key thing there is to understand that you are in a third dimensional experience and there are many other dimensions that you must ascend to. And you can't do it all in one lifetime. You're going to have to gain these experiences through several reincarnations. So don't worry if you don't get it right this lifetime. You're not expected to get it right this lifetime. You have to explore one theme at one different lifetime. This theme, it may be exploring how to overcome jealousy. The next theme may be exploring how to overcome poverty. The next theme is exploring how to build relationships with your parents. It goes just like that. And as you become wiser, exploring these themes and overcoming these obstacles, you transmit that information to what we call is the oversoul. The oversoul, it's what's, you have that individual perspective, all right, which is the separation. You see things that are as individuals, which is the objective world, which is things that are full of objects. But then the oversoul has the overall view of things and the oneness of all things. And the overall soul collects the information. It collects the data, okay? And I've talked about this before, and I'm just gonna go into a little bit of tidbit on this, is that many people think that they will go from who they are to communication and oneness with God, and that's not necessarily so. So just remember that there are many, there's a hierarchy and many steps before getting to God, meaning that there is you, the spirit, your consciousness. Then when you go higher, there are other spirits, higher, they're interdimensional beings. And you go higher, there's like alien entities. You go higher, there's angelic entities. Then you go higher, and there's the gods. And then you go higher, and then there's source, God, oneness, you know? So that's not all that there is, but I'm just giving you a general idea so you understand that there's this pantheon that you have to get through, you know? So, and that's the order that source places things. Because without that order, it'd be, you know, there's chaos, there's confusion, you know? So God has these servants or this cosmological ordering of things to assist him or her in ordering and ruling everything that there is. And you're part of that, you know? So your ascension process must happen. And if you fight it, and if you don't want to go along with the plan, that is your free will. You can fight it. You can say, this is, I don't believe in reincarnation. I don't believe in all that. That's your free will. You can do that. But trust and believe. If you don't believe in oxygen, doesn't matter. Oxygen is still there. And if it's sucked out of the room, you will certainly die. And if you don't believe in reincarnation and you choose to waste your life away in this incarnation, trust and believe you're going to be going through more lifetimes than you need to be. So why not get it right? Why not come into your own power? Because as you ascend, you gain power. You understand? And you gain power to control the reality that you see before you. So it's a win-win situation. So why not choose to go there willingly? You know, and just a point to remember is that when you die and you go before the judgment, and you know, you have Ma'at's 42 negative confessions, or 142 negative confessions. It's more than 42, is it? Well, it's 42 negative confessions. You basically you're going to confess that you haven't done these things, all right? Not that you shouldn't, but you haven't done these things. But that's more like a poem, you know what I mean? Because the Egyptians were very good with like poetry and things of that nature. But anyway, let me go back to what I was originally trying to say. When you go before Osir, the judge, your higher self is going before them. It's not you, your lower self. It's your higher self going before them, because your lower self would not agree to an agreement where you would encounter hurt and pain, but your higher self will, if it would further the soul's experience. You know, because I can think of some things that I would say, wow, that was a terrible experience. Why would I agree to go through that. And like, well, it wasn't me, it was my higher self that agreed to go through that, because there's no darn way I would have agreed to that, you know? So, because, you know, you're right now in your physical state, and you're like a child, but your higher self going before the judgment scene is a higher form of you that understands that you're working with the collective consciousness to better the soul and for the betterment of all. All right. So that's all the information I have for you on reincarnation. And if you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more great videos. And also pass this video along for its family and friends, because I definitely want to get this information out and start this revolution. Let's come into your power. Apply this information, apply this knowledge, and become God-man and God-woman in this lifetime. That's all for now. This is Kasankma Keperu, and Amun Ra.